Hey again, YouTube. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about tobacco genre many of us started with. I no longer really enjoy these a lot. Not that they aren't enjoyable, but I just prefer other tobaccos. And as you know by the title, those are aromatics. I guess if we wanted to be super technical about definitions, we could say an aromatic is any tobacco with a non-tobacco flavor added. It should be really interesting because Latakia, which, a lot of people take that distinction between English and aromatics as like the fundamental distinction between all pipe tobaccos. I don't like that distinction, but you could say Latakia is actually an aromatic tobacco because it has a smoke flavor added, which is not a natural tobacco flavor because it's smoke cured. Likewise, dark-fired Kentucky would have a similar thing going. But for the purposes of this video, and I think the way most people are going to use it if they're talking about aromatics on a video, on a forum, whatever, usually they are going to be milder tobaccos. In the worst cases, they're going to use cheap tobacco leaf. Not all of them do that. There's some very good quality ones. But they do that because they're using so much flavor. And again, there's a scale there in how much flavor they use. But the worst ones will use a whole lot of added flavor. They'll be overly wet with vanilla, rum, whiskey, any number of things. Chocolate, cherry, and it'll overpower the flavor of the tobacco so much it would almost be a waste to use a good quality tobacco because you're not going to taste it. I'm not a big mixed drink guy, but I don't think people usually go and take like super rare 20-year barrel-aged whiskeys to put in their soda. Usually use a cheaper whiskey. That said, again, there's a wide variety of different base tobaccos. A lot of the really mild ones are going to use a Cavendish base, black Cavendish and or brown. Others will use Burleys. Burleys are said to soak up other flavors really well. So they can be a good base. Virginias, anything under the sun. And so you'll get these tobaccos, and the flavors range from vanilla to chocolate to usually edible sorts of things, cherry, fruit flavors, other different fruit flavors and essences, honey, brown sugar, liquors, liqueurs. And that sort of transitions into some blends that have those that we probably wouldn't classify as aromatics. And this is where that kind of spectrum comes into play. Navy flakes, at least by one definition, it's another contested term, are usually Virginia and other tobaccos in a flake with rum added. And some blends will add whiskey or something like that. GLP's has a blend called Sixpence, which is new, which is Virginia, Perique, and has some Kentucky in it as well. It's I've tried a few bowls of it. It was really good. But there's some kind of liqueur topping, I think, that he uses on that. And it's, in those cases, I think is generally a little more subtle, the alcohol. I had an open tin I got in a trade of Sixpence, but with other Navy flakes, not all of them, Stokeby's Navy Flake and Newminster's Navy Flake are not liquor topped. But in others, the strength of that can range. And so, again, you get this, is that really a Virginia Perique blend, or is it an aromatic blend? Well, technically it has some flavor added, but there is that range. Other things that, you get some crossover blends that tend to have Latakia and other things added, and, you might start, take a really mild, flavored highly flavored aromatic, and just spike it with Latakia. One of the Sutliff blends I've reviewed is Sutliff's Academy, and it's just that. It's sort of a mild aromatic with a decent bit of Latakia in there. It's not a a Latakia bomb, but it makes it really interesting to throw that Latakia in there. Bald-Headed Teacher by Four Noggins is a burley-based blend that I think is really lightly flavored, and just a little pinch of Latakia in there to give it some earthy smokiness, and it's a pretty nice blend. Some people recommend those if you're wanting to branch out from aromatics to try more natural blends. You can start trying blends with less and less flavoring, or with some of those other tobaccos added in, like Latakia, that you usually don't find in aromatics. So most of you are probably familiar with those. Probably smoke them. This is probably mostly what you're going to running into a B&M, and they've got all those jars lined up and they smell delicious. A lot of those are going to be aromatics. Like I said, I don't usually enjoy them that much. I usually go for fuller blends. That's where some of those Lakeland aromatics I've talked about come in, because they have a really quality and usually stronger tobacco taste, and then a slightly different sort of topping added. But to each his own. Enjoy the tobacco you like, and that's what an aromatic tobacco is. Feel free to leave me any comments. If you think I've missed the mark or there's something I haven't said, pop it in there. Maybe I'll make an annotation. Thanks, guys.